Welcome into this Wednesday edition Oxford Exxon podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio here with you today. Ole Miss bows out of the at-large conversation last night in Athens, 69-66. The Bulldogs over the Rebels. Ole Miss playing pretty shorthanded there without Matthew Morrell for the majority of the contest. He had an illness, and that led to Ole Miss's again at-large demise. They have one game remaining in the regular season. That is at home against Texas A&M on Saturday, and then the SEC tournament there in Nashville next week. So we'll discuss that a little bit. We got a spring football schedule. We'll discuss that a little bit. We got a baseball game against Memphis tonight. That was moved yesterday after the rain in the forecast. They went 24 hours later on that one as well. So all that and more coming up on today's show. The Oxford Exxon here locally, blue sky locations up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi as well. The new Superstore, it is up and running with the Subway in Macomb. You get sweet daddies, you get pulled pork, ribs at a lot of locations, you get lunch specials, $5.69, a couple sides of bread, any size fountain drink, and more. And again, it was in the Clark Ford studio.
I am Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. Campbell Clinic is in Oxford now, 2608 South Lamar Boulevard, Suite 102, just across the street from the cottages at Hooper Hollow. Campbell Clinic provides full-service orthopedic care, everything from sports medicine to foot and ankle surgery to spine and total joint care, pediatric orthopedics, physical therapy, and more. To book an appointment, go to campbellclinicoxford.com or call 901-759-3111. Walk-ins always welcome at the Campbell Clinic, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So we'll get started with basketball. Saw the majority of the game last night. Went back, saw a little more of it after it was ended. Went back and rewatched a little bit. Again, Georgia 69, Ole Miss 66. Rebels falling to 20-10 overall, 7-10 in the SEC. They got A&M at home on Saturday, and a completely meaningless game for Ole Miss as far as any type of big picture situation there with the Rebels. It's one of those deals where we've been talking about this team so much, and I said yesterday they got us to March. They got us here to Wednesday, March 6th. Put a competitive team in place, really floundered down the stretch. They've been pretty bad as far as playing consistent basketball over the last few weeks. And last night, Georgia's not very good. Very winnable game. I sort of just, because we have spent so much time on it going out like that, with Morrell's illness clearly being the majority of the reason that Ole Miss played like it did in a lot of ways. And look, they got Flanagan back out there on the court when that was kind of questionable going into the evening. But I guess without Morrell, it just was a really big dud for it to end like that after several months of kind of wondering how far this team could potentially keep things going.
I just want to back up a little bit. And we're brought to you by BetterHelp. You might need to call BetterHelp if you went and rewatched.
Well, I didn't see a ton live, and I was curious about a couple things, so I went back, found it, and followed up on that. That's all.
I was just making sure, because we can stop right here and just have a therapy session.
I was at dinner last night, and I was watching it kind of like over my shoulder, and I saw some, but then I was just curious about a couple things. I was trying to do a little podcast prep. I guess I could have looked at the box score and probably found most of my answers, but that's okay. It's
yeah, I watched it once. I had Alabama, Florida on the other screen, and I finally turned Alabama, Florida off so that I would focus on Ole Miss and Georgia, because the basketball was hard to watch. It was not good. When the SEC does the speech about how deep everyone is, I'm just not going to write that. Yeah, look, they probably win with Morrell. He tried to play 2 minutes in. He's basically projectile vomiting on the just off the bench. Obviously, he was sick. Anybody who's ever been so sick that you're projectile vomiting, and that's probably most of us at some point in our lives, you know. Sure. That you're incapacitated at that point. You're not playing a sport. You're not running up and down a floor, jumping and doing the things that you have to do in basketball when you're that sick. You just can't play. And with Matt, the offense is limited. Without Matt, the offense is bad. The ball just didn't move. They didn't shoot well. They were bad from three for most of the game. Jalen Murray hits a three-quarters court shot at the buzzer to cut it to three, and to make the number look a little bit better than what it was. But they were essentially shooting 20% from three most of the night. They shot 30-something% from the floor. They got out-rebounded, had some defensive lapses that are just inexcusable. They go beyond Matt, obviously. And look, they started 5-3. They're now 7-10. Do the math. They went 2-7 in their last 9 games in the SEC, and that's had someone kind of push back a little when I referred to it as falling apart, but that's falling apart. You know, if I'd at 5-3 when they beat Mississippi State, if someone had said this team's going to win just 2 of its next 9 games, and only because Missouri's on the schedule, I don't know how many people would have believed you.
Yeah, Missouri in 7 the rest of the way.
And that's what's happened, you know, and they're probably staring the 10 seed square in the face.
Is that right?
Well, I guess it depends what happens with A&M. It doesn't matter. Like you said, Saturday doesn't matter. Nashville, unless you believe this team's going to win 4 games in 4 days, doesn't matter. I don't know that the whole NIT thing is really going to be the storyline that some people think it's going to be. There are some people that are pretty connected to that program who believe that Ole Miss does not want to go to the NIT.
The NIT's not easy to get into either. Like I've seen this written several times. There's like just this automatic guarantee Ole Miss is an NIT team. That's not true.
No,
I mean, it's just not.
It's not. I don't.
This isn't 2004.
I mean, I don't know how to, like, I've asked myself, how do you ask some of these questions? Because asking a question, hey, you guys just don't look right. That's not a question. I don't, how do you phrase that? You know, but it doesn't look right. They kind of lost their juice. I don't know whether they lost their confidence. I don't know whether there's internal stuff.
Beard doesn't look right necessarily.
No, he doesn't look as engaged is the wrong word. I
mean, I understand what you're saying, and no word sounds exactly right. Passionate, whatever. I don't know. Pick your adjective.
And it's not he doesn't like this team. I don't know if he likes the team or not. I couldn't say, hey, Chris, do you like this team? What's he going to say? No, I hate these kids. I mean, come on. I mean, I've had people going, you guys don't ask hard questions. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fight back on that. But what questions would you ask? You know, I mean.
And his levelness helped this team early in the year. I thought that he was a little calmer and a little more whatever, and that actually sort of let them get into some flow versus Kermit. But over the last 3 or 4 weeks, it just, I don't know, everything looks listless. Everything. And I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a little bit of maybe what happened was that they overachieved early and they've regressed to the mean. They've come back to where they should have been in the first place. You know, they won a bunch of games early that they could have lost, and last night they lost a game that they could have won. Those kind of things sort of over the course of a season sort of even out. Georgia was playing without one of its best players last night. I mean, it wasn't like Georgia was some full-strength rolling ball of butcher knives. That wasn't it. There were several plays. Ole Miss took a lead in the second half. And then there were several plays where, for example, Georgia shot an air ball. And with 1/10 of a second left on the shot clock, in large part because Ole Miss made no attempt to rebound the ball. It landed in a guy's hands, and he just tossed it up for a layup, and they reviewed it, and he sure enough, he got it off in time. That's 2 points that Georgia probably shouldn't have had. There were multiple times where Ole Miss got caught looking on defense. Georgia scored on easy back cuts. Georgia wasn't shooting the ball well either. Their three-point shooting was abysmal as well. You got beat in just a number of ways. Ole Miss only turned the ball over 8 times. You should win the game when you only turn it over 8 times. Most of the metrics were fine, but some of the stuff that they do, they always do, and they got away with it at times. And here lately, they just don't get away with it anymore. You can't get beat on the offensive glass so consistently and give up multiple attempts and then not get offensive rebounds of your own. And you know, they just get sporadic outings out of their bigs. And look, here we are. I mean, you know, they're either going to go 8-10 or 7-11. I remember if you look back at the beginning of the year, Ken Palm had them at 7-11. Sometimes you are what the metrics say you are, and Ole Miss has kind of fit into that spot metrically, where they're not good, they're not bad, they're just there. And you know, the other thing that happens, I'm just rambling, I'm just kind of talking out loud to myself, is that when you assemble a team, essentially, to Chris Beard's credit, he said this all summer. There's a race against time for them. They hadn't been together very long. You're trying to get it to work. You don't have a lot of time. The clock's ticking, and you have all these pieces that have never played together. And getting it to mesh is not. It's not as simple as like when you played YMCA as a kid, and you just threw a team together. Hey, let's go play 2-1-2 zone, and we'll figure it out. It's not that. They put this team together, and it didn't fully mesh. And they're not alone. There's lots of those teams around the country. You see it in every sport. I would argue you saw it in some degree with Ole Miss baseball last year. A team just didn't completely mesh. It happens, and it's going to be one of the real challenges. It's one of the reasons that some of the teams that are good in the league, if you look at them, they've got guys that have been together a while. The kids at Tennessee, with the exception of Connect, have been together for a while. Florida 2 years ago, he signed, I think it was 4 guys for that class, and they all panned out. Every single one of them. They've been there together a while. Bruce has guys at Auburn that have been at Auburn for a minute. You know, when you put a team together that's a whole bunch of first-year guys that haven't played together, sometimes it's not just about talent. Like, I don't know why Brandon Murray scored at LSU and scored at Georgetown and can't score at Ole Miss. I don't know. I don't know how Musa Cisse was the defensive player of the year in the Big 12 and has been a very average defensive player at Ole Miss. I don't. Is it schematics? Is it just fit? I don't know. These are all questions that you could ask. You could ask these questions. You could just grill a coach, and I don't know that he would have all the answers.
Private or public, frankly.
Yeah, publicly he does not have the answers.
Yeah.
Privately, he probably doesn't have all the answers. Probably has some theories. I mean, you know, you look around the league. I mean, there's teams that have underachieved this year, and that were thrown together and that are talented. But it takes more than talent.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Ole Miss, their last lead was 41-40 with 15:26 to go in the second half, and their largest lead of the entire night was 2. 37-35 at the 18:37 mark of the second half. That was it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all they got.
But I thought at that moment, you know, they've got a shot because Georgia's not good, and
yeah, sure.
Abdur Rahim wasn't playing, and they're counting on a freshman point guard who wasn't particularly playing very well. And I thought, we got a shot right here, but you got to have some maturity here, and you needed some guys to step up here. And look, good teams step up in a moment when a leader's out. I thought Jamin Brakefield was terrific last night. He stepped up. He knew Matt was out. Jamin's wrist is really bothering him. One time he fell on it, and he looked at it, and I thought, oh, he's going to come out. And he didn't. He just kept playing. And Jamin made buckets. Jamin did things last night, but they needed other guys to step up who did not step up. Flanagan stepped up. I don't think Allen completely healthy, and he played. And he made the typical mistakes. Some of the turnovers that he makes are just crazy, but he gave them 30-something minutes. But they needed more out of T.J. Caldwell last night. They needed more out of those kinds of guys last night. They just didn't get it.
Yeah, Ole Miss was up 41-40 at the 15-26 mark, and they did not score again until the 11-12 mark. So they went 4 minutes without scoring after they took their last lead of the game. And then Georgia had gone on like a 6-8-0 run, and it went from there. And, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to necessarily break down every bit of the game. But
No.
100%. I mean, that's it. They beat Missouri. That's the 2 wins. Missouri is trying to avoid going winless in the SEC. They have a game Saturday night against LSU at 7:30 in Baton Rouge. That is their last one. Missouri would join the company of Vanderbilt a few years ago under Bryce Drew. They were winless. And if you want to go back before that, because Katz and I looked this up during baseball the other day because we were bored, Georgia Tech, 1953, is the time that it happened previous to that. And then those are the only ones with a full schedule that was not Sewanee or a team impacted by a world war. I think Florida went 0-2 one year. LSU went like 0-4, 0-6 one year. But pretty non-elite company there if Missouri does finish that off. It's Vanderbilt a couple years ago, Georgia Tech in the 50s, Sewanee 6 times during their illustrious athletic career in the SEC. And then a few World War II, I start to say casualties, but that's not the right word considering the topic there. World War II teams that were impacted by that global conflict. So yeah, that's Missouri's company. Should they not pull it off? And I like LSU's chances. I don't think Missouri's going to get that final one.
Yeah, I like the Tigers, the LSU Tigers in that one for sure.
It's going to be hard for Dennis to go, hey, you know what, guys, come on, let's put it together, win one for the Gipper. Let's go 1-17 instead. Let's not join that list. Let's do all those things.
They had 11,000 brave souls show up for Missouri senior night.
Did they?
They did. Gabe DeArmond wrote a great story about the last night. He just taught the fans. It was really well done.
What'd the fans say?
They talked about why they still come. It was actually really well done. It was interesting. There was no reason. What are you going to do? You're going to write about the game?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's like me Saturday. I'm already going, what the hell am I writing? I mean, I'm writing about a game. The game's meaningless. And people push back on it's not, no game is meaningless. That game's meaningless. You're in the same exact spot whether you win or lose. Unless you're one of the people that believes they're going to go on an SEC tournament.
Who's participating in Senior Day on Saturday?
So we have a media op today at 1 o'clock, and they're bringing in 5 seniors. So I guess that's Matt and Musa Cisse, Jamarian Sharp.
Breaks right?
I guess.
He's a COVID senior next year if he chooses to do that, right?
I mean, Matt could have another year if he wanted it, right? Didn't Matt play freshman year was a COVID year?
Yeah, I'll have to look. I'm getting confused now.
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't know. Yeah, 2021 was a COVID year, right?
Basketball got its COVID year 2020, 2021, not 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, he's going to go pro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the weird part about today. We're asking these questions today. You guys still have 2 games and maybe more left. I don't know. There apparently was no media. Chris did not do media last night in Athens, someone said. I don't know.
Elsewhere in the SEC last night, just quickly before we move on, Auburn 101-74 in that game against the Missouri Tigers you just mentioned. Auburn now 12-5 in the SEC, 23-7 overall, and the Florida Gators whipped Alabama last night in Gainesville, 105-87 over the Crimson Tide. Florida 11-6 in the SEC, 21-9 overall. Alabama 20-10, 12-5 in the SEC. Alabama is gettable on the road. Ole Miss just was not good enough to pull that off. And in a losing effort, Sears had 33 points. He is tremendous last night for the Tide.
Look, Florida played really well last night. I mean, all Neal Florida jokes aside, Florida played really well last night. That was a very good effort on their part.
You have a very eclectic group of teams that you're all in on. I mean, you got A&M football that you always back and defend. You got Florida basketball.
Yep. All things Arkansas, of course.
All things Arkansas. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's very, 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 very true there. Let's see. What do we got here on
Ole Miss's net, by the way, fell to 79 last night. Georgia's went from 104 to 102. Big jump for the Dogs. LSU stays at 88 going into the night. Florida jumped to 26. There's your winner for the night. Florida jumped 8 in the net from 34 to 26. Alabama stayed at 7. Auburn stayed at 6. Who else played last night? Missouri lost. They dropped 7 points to 158. That about covers it.
So Florida jumped up a seed line last night.
Yeah, Florida jumped from 34 to 26 with its home win over Alabama.
Interesting. Okay.
Mississippi State's at 33 going into tonight. South Carolina 47. A&M 55. It's not meaningless for A&M. If they can win tonight and beat Ole Miss, they got a shot. So they'll show up with something to play for. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look at Wednesday's games coming
crowd,
out. Yeah.
Crowd guest for Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock.
5,500.
I was going to say 6, so you were in the same ball.
Yeah, something like that. This podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you do if you had an extra hour in your day? Go for a run, take a nap, read a book, show up for a friend. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time, but if time was unlimited, how would you use it? Best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. If you give therapy a shot, it's a great way to connect with people, to get thoughts and ideas and help. No preconceived notion, no emotion coming from the other side. Family and friends sometimes bring their baggage onto you. So avoid that with a trained professional. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Fill out a questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist. You can even switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So you can learn what time for what makes you happy. Visit BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/MPW today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MPW.
Our next partner is Athletic Greens. I drink AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. I give AG1 a try because I want a better gut health, sustained energy, immune system support, and I just hate taking those big supplement pills. I drink AG1 every morning. I love knowing I'm doing something good for my body, giving my body the nutrition it craves, and covering my nutritional bases. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. It's pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It's a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/MPW. That's athleticgreens.com/MPW. Check it out. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with a personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago with Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan, whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere. Schedule a free discovery meeting. See what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-8011-777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern 662-429-4429. If you're coming up this weekend for baseball, for basketball, stop by the College Corner right off Sisk Avenue in the Oxford Commons. More than 4,000 square feet of the very best Rebel gear. Plenty of parking available. Their staff will have you in and out ready for Swayze or the Pavilion in no time. Also, 2 locations in the Jackson area. And you can check them out online at collegecornerstore.com.
So I was looking at this in the break, and I'll watch the video in the next break when I have a second, but everybody losing their mind over a basketball game in New Jersey where apparently the officials just completely screwed the team in the playoffs. The losing team's coach, one of the better quotes you'll see, 15 kids got screwed in front of 1,000 people. Print that. Print it 5 times. Those 3 guys huddled up and they screwed those kids in front of 1,000 people, and that video will be on the internet for everyone to see.
I'll have to see the video, but that's a good quote.
Well, I think it's probably legitimate because I saw Wetzel retweeted it, and then everybody else is talking about it too. Somebody called it 72 Olympics bad. So, yeah, apparently it was pretty rough there, and maybe Camden, New Jersey. Again, I haven't seen the video yet, but that's. I saw the really good buzzer beater in Indiana a couple days ago when the kid was like going out of bounds and threw it over his head, and there happened to be a teammate under the goal who did the layup at the buzzer for the game winner. And as some other people noticed, it was also the worst defense I've ever seen because all 5 people collapsed on the dude falling out of bounds and just left the guy there to divvy it up with about a half second left. But
as you know, high school games can get really emotional, and when high school games get really emotional, everything's on the table at that point.
Ooh, KSR saying Louisville's going to go after Scott Drew.
The Louisville job is one that I just don't know I understand completely. I'm admitting my ignorance here and not really understanding the landscape. It was once a premier elite job, and it may very well still be a premier elite job. I just don't know. Scott Drew's done a hell of a job at Baylor.
Why leave for Louisville?
Well, if you're going to leave, why Louisville?
That's my point.
Yeah, I mean, I get leaving Baylor.
Now, look, if Louisville has NIL, that's a hell of a job. I get they're not in one of the main leagues, whatever.
Yeah,
but
for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, it's got a storied history. They've got a great arena. They've got dedicated fans. I'm assuming
basketball-obsessed state.
Yeah, I'm assuming they have NIL going.
Well, they do in football.
Well, yeah, but is there?
I know, that's what I mean.
Because the football coach is an alum who's wildly popular.
And maybe that's what happened. Maybe they said, hey, you know what? We're going to decide we're going to win at football. And let the Cats have basketball. But, I mean, the Kenny Payne era has been an abject disaster in every way. Just awful.
Yeah, that's been an egregious coaching job.
Is Indiana trying to hire Dusty May? What are they going to do?
I think Indiana wants to hire him, but there are some pretty strong rumors that Ohio State wants to hire him as well. There's a LeBron James Dusty May rumor, believe it or not. That LeBron James wants Dusty May at Ohio State and will contribute to their NIL and send his younger son, I think his name is Bryce, or Brees. I think it's Bryce, to Ohio State. LeBron, obviously, an Ohio native.
Oh, that would be a bad one. Grind says worst screw job he's seen in a high school playoff basketball game. 12 seconds left, down 2. Losing team inbounds the ball, races down for a layup. Ref calls an and 1 with 2 seconds left. The problem, the ball didn't go in.
Oh.
Ooh.
Surely the other officials could come say, hey, it didn't through the basket thing. Right? I mean, that feels like you could overrule your partner.
Hey, guys, we need to huddle for a second here and not be the story in about 5 seconds, okay? Like, let's.
You see the hoop thing with the net thing? It didn't go through it. So that he might have 2 shots, but he can't be an and 1.
Yeah. Tonight's games, as you mentioned, what is at the beginning of the year you wouldn't have thought this would be one, but by God it is. Tennessee at South Carolina tonight, the return matchup of the Gamecocks when they won in Thompson Bowling earlier this season. Tennessee, South Carolina, the 6 o'clock ESPN2. Tennessee's a 5.5 point favorite on the road. LSU is a 3.5-point underdog at Arkansas tonight, 6 o'clock SEC Network for the Razorbacks and the Tigers. Vanderbilt, Kentucky tonight. UK favored by 17.5 at home against the Commodores. Kentucky 11-5 in the SEC. Vanderbilt 3-13. And then you mentioned those Aggies. A lot of maroon in the building tonight. Mississippi State at A&M at Reed Arena. A&M 7-9 in the SEC, and they are a 2.5-point favorites over Mississippi State tonight. Any of that stick out? I mean, obviously Tennessee.
I love
South
Kentucky.
Carolina.
Kentucky on senior night. Have you ever been to Kentucky on senior night?
I've never been to Kentucky on senior night.
I've been to Kentucky on senior night. Give me the Cats. I'll lay the points.
You're fine laying 17.5 for no reason tonight?
No problem.
Okay.
I mean, look, if you go bet your life savings on this and you lose, don't come yelling at me. I mean, I'm just telling you, that sticks out. I don't hate, what was the Arkansas line?
2.5. Arkansas minus 2.5.
I don't hate that. I like senior nights. Teams win senior nights. Don't hate Texas A&M a little bit against Mississippi State. But now State plays a brand of basketball that sort of lets them be pretty consistent home versus road. But
they are one of the more level teams in the league.
I don't hate A&M tonight.
I mean, State would kind of like another win just for the hell of it. They're 8-8.
Oh no, they'd love to win another game.
I don't know who they got at home on Saturday, but
it's who is it? It's I can't remember. I had it in 10 thoughts.
South Carolina.
Oh yeah,
South Carolina. I don't like. I like South Carolina getting 5.5 against Tennessee tonight too. That's a senior night. That's a team that has played really well this season. They're going to get applauded by their fan base. That 5.5 just feels a little big. I'm not saying Tennessee's not going to win, but I wouldn't want to have to win by 6 on the road on a senior night.
No,
Tennessee's played well lately.
That's a big number, and Tennessee is really good lately. But so's Carolina.
We still don't give them enough credit.
We don't. Carolina, like Florida shot 40-something% from 3, and Carolina still won the game. It's pretty gritty.
Not going to get into Saturdays yet. So you got, you were excited. You called me yesterday. We got a spring football schedule.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
Hell yeah, let's do this.
It technically starts today.
Today.
Is that right?
Yes, I got the release and just laughed out loud throughout it because they're having 2 quote very light end quote practices this week, which is I read as, hey, look, we're not going to do 15 practices, so let's just throw a couple here. There's no media availability this week, which by the way I'm fine with. Thanks. Then they're taking next week off for spring break. And then they're coming back with Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday practices. We get access on Tuesdays. And I think interviews on Thursdays. No, the way I read it, we don't have access to Saturdays this year.
Okay. And not like we'd have access because the public has access. There is no access.
There's no access. They're closing it to the public too. So it confirms my basic thought that Lane is one of the coaches that sort of does spring football because you sort of have to do spring football, but I think they're going to do spring football differently. I don't. My guess is that means that they're not going to have a bunch of scrimmages on Saturdays.
Well, I mean, look, they've got a quarterback who's not 100%, and if he is 100%, there's no reason to try to check him and see if he's 100% when Jackson Dart. He had off-season work done. You've got another one of your 3 quarterbacks that's playing baseball, and you're managing that in whatever degree you are, even though football gets precedent. I mean, it's not – there's a lot of reasons why there's no use in doing a bunch of bull in the ring and Oklahoma drills this spring. I mean, let's just chill out, do some mental work, get a few reps in, stay in shape. All you guys acclimate to each other. Cool, sweet. Go bowling or something. Carefully. Sorry, not bowling. That didn't work out last time. My
bowling
fault.
didn't.
My bad.
Bowling resulted in a broken jaw.
It did. Go find some laser tag or something. I don't know. Do that.
Bowling apparently can be a contact sport. Who knew?
It was that night.
Who knew?
No, car wreck, according to one media outlet. Car wreck.
Well, when it doesn't fit your narrative, you just make something up.
Car wreck. It's all good. Grove Bowl is April 13th.
Was Mike Shula in the car in that wreck? He wasn't, was he?
I think he was safe. Yeah, he was calling some ball plays somewhere.
Okay.
High demand. For where is Mike these days?
I don't know. Carolina? No, I don't know. Tampa, somewhere. He's in the NFL. He's a quarterback coach. Yeah.
Okay. Grove Bowl set 3 o'clock, April 13th at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. That is the same day as the Mississippi State baseball game in Oxford on Saturday. The Rebels and the Bulldogs meeting.
That's a
the
night
12th,
game.
13th, and 14th. It's a night game. It's a 7:30 ESPN2 start. So got a big network for that one for the Rebels and Bulldogs. State, by the way, playing a little better. They were down 4-0 in the first inning yesterday, but came back and beat Southern Miss and Pearl last night 5-4. Dakota Jordan hit a home run. They pulled it off. Kid for Southern gave some really good quotes last night. He basically said that you saw State celebrating over there, and it was because everybody wants to beat Southern, and it's the World Series to Mississippi State that they were able to pull that off. They'd been losing to some midweek teams, but it was their World Series last night to get Southern Miss that they were taunting, and Southern's not going to forget it. They're going to remember it in the return date later in the season. Okay, bud. Congratulations.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Fine. I mean, look, no harm. It's okay. I mean, I've heard worse justifications.
Yeah. They just showed up to play us. They were ready. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. If you had to guess today, what is the format of the Grove Bowl going to be? What's Lane going to do to fill his 2 hours?
Oh, it'll be like it was last year, probably. Someone will probably talk him out of turning it into the state fair.
Okay.
But I think he would love to do something different and make it fun. Would it matter if you just did flag football? What would the reaction be if you did some skills competition, you divided the team, you did some stuff, and then you played a flag football game? You did sort of like the NFL Pro Bowl.
You would get higher ratings for the SEC net because it's on SEC Network, right? Isn't that correct?
I think so.
Okay. You would get much higher ratings playing a skills competition, a flag football game, or hell, a freaking wiffle ball game that you do every Friday anyway.
You could mix that in. That's what I'm saying. You
would get higher ratings on television to satisfy the TV people and make yourself happy if you just played a bunch of games and played wiffle ball.
But what would the reaction be in the Deep South from media types and fans? Because not all fans would like that.
Not taking it serious enough, not playing football.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that if you lost the game in the football season, the first time you lose, I don't care who it's to, if they'd taken spring a little more seriously and had a little more physical contact, they'd have been better ready for this.
They tackle better.
Now, Lane doesn't seem to care about that kind of stuff.
No, it's what allows him to go for it on 4th downs because he's not worried about the second guessing in the press conference.
Yeah, so I'm holding out hope here that he shakes it up and does something sort of revolutionary and it works. Because I do think people would talk about it. He loves getting talked about.
You show up for a game, you hadn't seen the internet, and a sack race breaks out. We're doing field day today at Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
Oh, okay, so what did the NFL do because they divided the two teams. They had Eli's team and Peyton's team, right? The two Manning brothers coached different. One coached the AFC and one coached the NFC. I know they played a flag football game. I know they had a tug-of-war contest.
Yeah, non-contact flag football. All right, they did, let's see, Tug of war added to the program. The closest to the pin golf accuracy competition replaced the longest drive.
Okay.
The high stakes event replaced the lightning round. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
One year they did an attempt to catch punts. They played Madden video games. They had Madden NFL video games.
Okay.
Yeah, and then a non-contact flag football game.
You could do something fun, and that would...
Precision passing. Okay, I got it here. Precision passing, accuracy competition in which each quarterback from both conferences attempts to hit as many targets as possible in 1 minute. Do that all day.
They had them rolling on a golf cart kind of thing.
You could do that all day.
Yeah.
Put the quarterbacks out there. High stakes is a multi-round competition in which players attempted to catch the most punts from a jugs machine without dropping other balls. Yeah, you saw this. So they caught one, they had to catch 2, 3, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. I'd watch.
Closest to the pin was a golf accuracy competition in which 6 players from each conference attempted to drive a golf ball as close to the hole as possible. It replaced the long drive competition from the previous year. It was a pre-recorded segment held at the par 3 18th hole of the Hawks Landing Golf Course in Orlando.
Okay.
Snapshot, which was long snappers and centers snapping balls at targets with different sizes and point values. They played dodgeball.
See, you could do that. That would work.
They did kick-tack-toe. Each team's kicker played a version of tic-tac-toe where they kick balls toward a giant board.
Okay.
And then they had flag football. Then they did move the chains, a race completed by teams of 5 players from each conference. They had to move 3,000 pounds of weight off of a wall and then pull that 2,000-pound wall across the finish line.
Okay.
They played a video game. Then they did the gridiron gauntlet, 6 players from each conference in a relay race through an obstacle course. The race was held at halftime of the Madden NFL game, and the score was added to the game somehow. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Best catch, some pre-recorded segments of various catches around like landmarks in Orlando. I don't know, whatever. Tug of war, and that appears to be it. That was your event.
So you couldn't do all of that, but you could throw a few of those things in, and including a flag football game. Do the tug of war. Have the punt catch competition. You could make it funny TV. Recruits would probably like it. You'd get a lot of attention. You'd get talked about, but now there would be a criticism. There would be people who push back and said, you're not taking this seriously enough. Football is a serious sport. You're wasting practice opportunities to get your team better.
Oh, Ryan's right. Bring the solo cups over from baseball. Let them do something.
Now, you and I have covered enough fall camp. We've covered enough fall camp to know that he has they're very consistent. Their fall camp's pretty grueling. And then as the season goes on, they really take the load off. I mean, by the end of the year, their practices are an hour. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're on and off the field as fast as possible. They're trying to keep guys' legs, but they get after them pretty good in August. And I'm going to guess that the off-season program is pretty grueling too. It is everywhere. You're not winning and losing games in April unless you're losing players to significant injuries, at which point you are potentially losing games in April.
He could change the entire structure if he does all this crap, plays this game, and then makes the playoff, which allows other coaches to go, oh, wow, okay. See?
100.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big difference in 9-3 and 11-1 after you do that.
But anybody who, let's say they went 9-3.
Oh, I know.
But, I mean, there would be some dude who did it, and I would be like, you are out of your mind. You're not forming the personality of your football team in April.
No, of course not.
The reason is now there used to be a time when guys didn't show up till the second summer session, and they didn't really do any football stuff until August. Now the coaches get their hands on them. They do the off-season stuff is very organized. It's scripted. They basically practice around the clock. the whole spring football thing is not as necessary as it once was. And you're really not doing all that much player development anymore. Frankly, you'd be better served having, like we talked about, mini camps.
Well, you would definitely be better served for that all the way around. You would be adjusting to the environment that they're currently in. I mean, 100%. But I don't know. I'm game. We can softly just push this for a little while, see if we get any traction as time goes on. Test our limits a little bit as we get going. So
there would be people on our beat who would lose their minds.
Yeah, we've been trying to hire coaches for a while. I've already made a couple posts just in case down the road with another sport as it goes. Like we're just kind of. It's like when the pitcher gives up a really long fly ball to center field. And he's just testing the confines of the park, just testing the dimensions, see how much space he's got out there. It's all good. So, all right, be back in a minute. Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. A lot of different flavors for you. The soy ginger is their most recent. Their best sellings are the signature. The New Orleans style barbecue shrimp. Awesome stuff there with Prime Shrimp. They deliver directly to your door. Fewer than 10 minutes, freezer to plate. They got full meals in a bag. And we're going to help you out. You can get a lot of your favorites. You can get a little bit of several different options and try those out. And do that, buy 5 pouches or more. Use code RG, 25% off, primeshrimp.com. Again, code RG with primeshrimp.com.
When you work with Argent Wealth's 401k advisory services team, you gain a valuable advisory team and time-saving resource that will help you develop and maintain a solid strategy for your retirement plan. They are committed to providing you with the personalized attention and involvement that you want and need. Their goal is to help you manage your 401k plan properly and ultimately improve your employees' retirement readiness. It's myargentwealth.com, MYARGENT wealth.com. We're brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you are planning a trip and you want it to be one that creates a lifetime of unique memories, get in touch with John. Just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you're going to have a difficult time finding on your own. It's that simple. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square, Opa, is the perfect place for your company dinner, a festive party event. Also have catering options, fabulous food, great craft libations. Make Opa a part of your next trip to Oxford. Get in touch with them at 601-421-7147. We're also brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, it can help you with opportunities across the board. If your company is looking to hire quality, hard-to-find talent, they can help you as well. It's always free for the candidate. And keep in mind that payment of service is solely contingent on if your company decides to hire a candidate that they send. So you've got nothing to lose. Give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 601-573-9242 or check out their site, servicespecialistltd.com. Get the beautiful and healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
So I sent you... Okay, here's the setup here in this game that I'm talking about. The Camden is like obviously one of the best teams in the state or something. They hit a free throw to go up a point with about 5 seconds left. Other team goes down, shoots, misses, but gets the rebound, puts it up for the winner. And the picture that I sent you just now is ball in air going in hoop, already way out of the hand. It's up above the rim with 0.3 seconds left.
Yeah.
It goes in, they celebrate, the official calls it good, the refs confer, and the other two officials talk him out of it. They reverse the call and say the ball was not out of his hand, and the other team advances in the playoffs.
But
not even close.
No, the ball's the ball's up over the rim.
Yes, the official that called it good got talked out of it by the other two officials, and they reversed the call.
Those other two officials must be fans of the other team. That's it. That's egregious.
Isn't this where common sense should win? You go protest the finish, there's video, and you just reverse it and move on. Because nothing else is impacted. There's not even 3 seconds left. It's literally the final call at the buzzer.
You know what I'm going to say. We've lost common sense, man, a long time ago. That's over. That's done. You know better than that. We no longer have common sense. Doesn't really have a place anymore.
So the New Jersey Athletic Association is going to go, we regret the era. Congratulations, Camden.
Yeah. Even though it's right there in front of them. That's what everybody does now. They dig in. Even if you're wrong, you just dig in. Double down. I do feel terrible for the kids that won the game and the win got taken away from them. How do you justify that? How do you tell the kids, yeah, you won, but it doesn't count?
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's a bucket. That's a shame. That's really a shame. But it is what it is. I would go back if I'm the New Jersey Athletic Association, I look at that picture, I just reverse it. I give the team that won the game the win.
Yeah, the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association is who is in charge. Their only 2 tweets in the last 21 hours are telling people to be kind to one another at games.
Yes.
And they are proud to sponsor with Dick Sporting Goods. Those are the 2 that they have.
We see it in all aspects of society now. Nobody, for whatever reason, no one can ever admit, hey, we made a mistake. We're wrong. Doesn't happen. I mean, people in your life who will never apologize, no matter what.
Yeah,
it's just something they won't do.
Well, and then like Steve Politi's a really good reporter in New Jersey. I'm sure that it's premium, but I'm sure he wrote a story because he used the quote from the guy and the whole screw job and the whole deal. I'm sure the story is great, but it's even in the headline. The headline that he didn't do. That's how journalism works, by the way. The author did not do the headline. Camden rallies to stun and controversial finish. No, that's not the headline of the story.
No, it's not it.
Officials blow call in state semifinal. I mean, yeah, like, come on. So, yeah, be kind equal be cool with getting cheated. Just say nice things and move on.
And I know high school referees aren't very good. I know it's hard to find them. All of that.
Which is why I blame the association more than the ref. You have the final, just reverse it. Cool, sweet. Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. And there's video. Why couldn't they have gone and looked at the video?
Well, there's no replay in high school sports, so.
Yeah, I know, but again, common sense.
Yeah.
Someone has this on video. Let me see it.
Yeah. Let's get this right.
Yeah, someone has it. We can get it right. It's filmed. Let's get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the film, you see the ball out. You see the clock. It's right there. It's fix it.
I am a little surprised that was never a Sopranos episode. His son playing in a basketball game. Get a little ref fixing. Oh,
yeah. Still shocked no one. I never saw The Sopranos.
Feels like more of a One Tree Hill storyline, but Sopranos fits with it being in New Jersey. Let's stay on basketball. Really interesting yesterday. Neil and I just stumbled on this while we were having a phone conversation. Caitlin Clark, that game against Iowa and Ohio State that a lot of people watched. I mean, documenting-wise, a lot of people watched, but we knew that anyway. It was the most watched regular season viewership for a women's basketball game in 25 years. It was only surpassed in 1999. 3.88 million watched UConn and Tennessee in a game, but looking here, 3.39 million people for Ohio State and Iowa. Basketball games in general this year, only beaten by Michigan State, Arizona on Thanksgiving, 2 NBA Christmas games, and the final of the in-season tournament at that point. I was telling Neil, I saw where her deal with Nike is going to be worth 3 times what some NBA first-round draft picks get from the men's side. The Indiana Fever, not only already starting to promote on their side that they were able to draft her first overall, but opponents are promoting the road games that she will play in their arenas. The Chicago Sky yesterday, Nancy Armour pointed out that tickets are as high as $400 for a get-in. Sorry, as low as $400 and up for Caitlin Clark's game against the Chicago Sky in Chicago. The next game Chicago has is against the Las Vegas Aces, who are the defending WNBA champions, and it is a $25 get-in price for that game. Even to the point that I saw this morning, the Sky have it on their they've already put out a promo. They've got a graphic that basically says, it doesn't use her name because she hasn't been picked yet, but it says number 1 pick coming to town or something, and it's got a row of games, but the game against the Fever is bigger and made more prominent in the list there. It's nuts.
I mean, if I'm the Fever, I've got her jersey ready to go online. We're
every
selling,
color, every bit ready to go.
We are selling Caitlin Clark. Look, I told you, I don't watch women's basketball. I don't like it. I don't think the product is very entertaining. It does nothing for me. I grew up in a town where women's basketball was huge. I never understood it then. That said, Iowa women's basketball will come on the TV and I will watch it. She is compelling to me. She's interesting to me. The hate that she gets makes me even more interested in watching her. We talked about this last year in March when Iowa went to the finals, I think, and lost. That the women's tournament was more interesting than the men's tournament, and it wasn't particularly close. And it was because of personalities. She, for whatever reason or reasons, provides an absolute chance for the WNBA to develop a pulse for the first time ever. It's just been propped up by the NBA and by a handful of media types, but it has no real traction at all. She gives it a chance. If I'm involved in women's basketball, I am so completely embracing Caitlin Clark. But there are a lot of people in that sport that do not embrace Caitlin Clark. She does not check enough boxes. But she gives them a chance to save the sport.
That game topped Warriors Celtics the same day, 3.01 million on that day. It was second in sports overall to the NASCAR Cup Series event at Vegas, which went 4.36, which feels like a really great number for them. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, those are legitimate ratings. I mean, how many men's college basketball games are getting that number?
Well, 1 this year. 1.
Yeah.
Michigan State, Arizona, Thanksgiving Day.
1 college basketball game on a holiday gets those numbers. I mean, that should tell you everything. People are drawn to her. People find her interesting. Young women, young girls love her. They should steer into her so completely. It's obvious. I'm fascinated to see whether they'll do it. Because again, I'm not being political, I'm just being real. She does not check enough boxes for some of the people who love to promote that sport. She doesn't.
Well, it's actually a great thing for them, too, because, I mean, different's good. You're trying to connect extra people. Like, you're not losing the fans you already have, so you get extra fans. You get more fans. I mean, this is...
One would think.
I mean, GJG's right. She's the biggest star in college basketball, period, and second place isn't in sight. She's bigger than any men's basketball player in college.
Oh, a gazillion %.
Not even Because the number that actually is more impressive, because I get the whole Maravich angle the other day, which I think is crap, but whatever. The previous high for women's basketball this season was still 1.86, which was Ohio State the first time, which is a damn good number. That's still a great number for a regular season game with no implication.
I told you, I sat on a Sunday and watched Iowa-Nebraska women's basketball. Literally I needed to go do something and waited till the game ended.
Yeah. I know.
And if I'm doing it, because I'm not as big of a sports fan anymore as like the general public sports fan. If I was watching that game, there were tons of people just like me who were watching that game. On a Sunday afternoon when I think there were NFL playoffs were still going on.
Is that right?
I think so. I think the game was at noon or 11 a.m. and I had it on. She's interesting to me. All the Cheryl Swoop stuff that happened. So I was curious. She was chasing the record. She had not quite gotten it. I think she got it one game later.
Yeah, because they put the graphic up on the top of the screen.
Yeah.
I was looking for ratings to the men's tournament this past year to try to get a comparison. Because, I mean, the men's tournament obviously is still much larger, but it's been shrinking a little bit. I found it here. 2023 final, 14.69 million viewers in men's basketball, NCAA. That's down from 1705 the year before. And this graphic goes back to 2013 when it was 23.4 million. A high of 2015, 28.3 million. So 8 years later, 14.69. That's a pretty precipitous fall there. The final between LSU and Iowa last year in women's basketball, it did 9.9. So 14.69 for the men, 9.9 for the women last year. So there's that.
You talk about fixing games, man. If I'm on that NCAA, if I'm on that committee,
well, you're definitely fixing brackets.
Yeah, we got to get Iowa there, boys, ladies. We need Iowa, South Carolina, LSU, and somebody.
Hey, Paul, I'm doing the math here, and it's showing that Iowa should be the 2 seed in Carolina's bracket. Yeah, we're going to need you to move that over a little bit.
That's not happening. Yeah. But no, work it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, they don't have to be ones, but Iowa, LSU, and Carolina, they're not in the same brackets at all, okay? They're in 3 different regions here, bud. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you could give Iowa kind of a soft 1, we wouldn't hate that either, okay? Give our girl a fighting shot here when we're
if I was the 2, make a 15 and 17 team the other one. Put Iowa in that bracket.
Yeah. So I'm interested. We'll see. Ole Miss's women, they're the 3 seed in the SEC tournament. That's in South Carolina this week. They play late Friday night. I think like 9 teams will already be eliminated before they can play their game yet. They playing for seeding. The SEC is not very well respected this year in a lot of the bracket stuff. Ole Miss, LSU, and South Carolina, the 3 sort of givens, and it kind of falls off pretty good after that point. I know Mississippi State's kind of bubbly, some different things. So they play Friday night. Their area of the bracket is pretty soft. They've got a good chance of getting to the semis there and facing. They would face LSU in the semis should both those teams win, because obviously 2 plays 3, 1 plays 4. So that's the way that would work. So anyway. All right, back in a second. Northeast Spark, NESPARC, serves people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's NESpark.com, 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, wireless mesh extender, and much more. So to get back to internet in Lafayette County, that's 662-238-3159.
Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He's a longtime Rivals board member. He owns multiple franchises and businesses, uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. MyPerfectFranchise.net, Andy at MyPerfectFranchise.net, or 404-973-9901. Southern Traditions Farm is a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails, so much offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback ridings, offerings from beginners to advanced to being able to compete in nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for corporate outings, parties, that kind of thing. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm. I'll have a mailbag to you later today. It's brought to you by Art Hayes of Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's International Realty to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's International Realty and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email Art at Arthur, ARTHUR.Hayes, HAYS at lakesmn.com. And we're also brought to you by Massage by Melanda here in Oxford at SG Beauty Bar, right off of Highway 6 West on the Oxford Loop. You can book online. I'll put the website here in the chat in a moment. You can also call 662-671-1667 or 662-550-4080. Each service offered in 30, 60, and 90-minute increments. And for clients who mention Rebel Grove, you get 10% off any of her services. So again, I'll put that in the chat site here in a second.
Yeah, I have not seen that, Jackson. That would be around my my age range. He says way off topic, but anyone seen the trailer to the Netflix documentary about Nickelodeon child predator rings? No, I did not. Called Quiet on Set.
No, I haven't seen that.
So, no, I have not caught that.
That's not one. That's not one I want to watch.
Yeah, that's not going to make your mood better today, is it? If you go,
no, a little dark, dark.
You gotta pair that with like a serial killer documentary for a double feature or something.
Yeah, no.
I'll get caught up on those on Netflix occasionally. I'll go down the rabbit hole of some of the stuff.
I have been listening to the Ray Lewis podcast. Have you listened to any of this?
I have not. No.
The Raven. It's about the murders in Atlanta Super Bowl night.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Pretty deep dig into that.
New information?
Yeah, there's some new information. The driver gave an interview to the prosecutors, to the DA, and they taped it. And at trial, his story changed, and they did not say, "Oh no, wait a minute, did you?" They didn't bring the taped interview in to. It was an absolute egregious error on the part of the prosecutor. They really haven't gotten to the point of the podcast where they explain why that happened.
Oh,
just that it happened.
Okay. How many ups?
I'm on like number 7. I don't know how many there are. It's been very well done.
A couple things in the world of Ole Miss sports. Ole Miss sending maybe 7 events, 5 athletes to the NCAA championships for track and field. They were only the second school in SEC history to sweep the throwing competitions, men's and women, at the SEC championships. That's led by Jelani Davis, who is an NCAA champion, and All-American senior Jasmine Mitchell. But anyway, that is going on. And then I did a podcast with Tyler Jordan yesterday. We talked about a number of things, including they have finalized the uniforms coming for the fall, the new Realtree patterns that it's not like anything they have done before. It's out in left field a little bit, so we'll see what the reaction is to that when the time comes. I'm excited for the message board conversations and topics as that hits, because I think I have a decent idea what it is. So I'm curious
Yep.
what's going on there.
I've heard a rumor, and yeah, I'm with you. I'm eager to see some reaction.
And then the Grove Collective currently doing their March to Victory, where they segmented the country into 16 different regions for a giving competition. Look, we talk about it. Everybody loves brackets, so it is a bracket competition. And as Tyler said on the show yesterday, Realtree is matching the first $500,000 that are put into that competition. So you can see all that at the Grove Collective website, or linked in the description of the podcast yesterday that I put up, that is at MPW Digital. If we're taking bets because of that $500,000 match, I like the Georgia section of the bracket to be victorious in this competition. I just got a hunch here. It's gonna be difficult to top there. But anyway, that is going on. Couple things there with Ole Miss. And you said what time? 1:00 on Saturday for basketball?
1:00 Saturday. Yep, 1:00.
Seahawks released Jamal Adams
I saw that.
yesterday. Is that a good career?
The NFL, I mean, the salary cap's a real thing, unless you're the Saints, at which point you just keep trying to figure out.
Credit card bill is just, tremendous. I mean, that thing comes in an envelope that is. I did see, all those rankings from the NFL Players Association or whatever. The Saints were dynamite in all those, except for the cafeteria was an F, and something to do with nutrition or something else was like a D or something. And they ended up ranked like 18th overall, but had you taken those out, they'd have been like 4th. But yeah.
Who was first?
I never saw overall. I know everybody was like gnashing teeth because the Chiefs got like an F grade in tons of things. Like their owner was an F. Like the Chiefs had horrific grades.
Their facility is nothing to write home about.
Their locker room was an F, and the executives told the team they won too much in the playoffs to get a renovation this offseason. I got questions. They only had one home playoff game. Like I feels like an excuse there.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
I know the Bengals get really bad locker room ratings.
Really?
Yeah, and they're trying to figure out they. It's one of the things that some of the college guys who play at the big schools are always shocked when they get to the NFL and they find out, hey, the facilities here are much worse than what you had at school. School U.
Yeah. What is interesting about the rankings is that most head coaches get good grades. It seems like most players like their coach. Owners can get weird grades, but for the most part, coaches get good grades.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you watch all the Hard Knock stuff, all the coaches are pretty likable.
Well, and then it's interesting.
Work the asses off.
And the interesting one for me in those rankings is when a lot of stuff is kind of bad, but the owner gets a good grade, and you're like, well, he's in charge of all those things. But I think they're grading the owner on how are you communicating with me about my job, and like how are we doing face to face on like what's going on with my career here. Not, hey, you didn't put enough Pepsi in the Coke machine. That's not falling on the owner at that point when they do these rankings. But I'm sure there's a graph somewhere to tell you who's who. Maybe that's a tomorrow thing. Jeffrey has a thought on every NFL related topic, so probably would have one on that as well. It's actually pretty easy to find. I just found the report card right there. But again, we'll mostly tease that for tomorrow, because I don't know that it's in order. It's in alphabetical. It's in alphabetical order. Yeah, they did the categories: treatment of facilities, food, cafeteria, nutritionist, dietitian, locker room, training staff, weight room, strength coach, team travel, head coach, and owner. The Arizona Cardinals owner got an F. The Kansas City Chiefs owner got an F minus. The Steelers owner got an F. Those are the only Fs. So,
When was Riley Gaines on our podcast network? Do you remember when that was?
I mean, off the top of my head, no. February 16th, 2023.
So a little more than a year later, she's going to be on Joe Rogan.
Look at it. Hey.
And is a guest of the Speaker of the House at the State of the Union address Thursday.
Pioneer. Pioneer. Pioneer.
Look at us.
Identifying talent.
When we saw a story, I was like, oh, I need to get her on.
You'd have a harder time getting her on now.
It'd be a little tougher now to get her on MPW Digital.
Yeah.
But we were a launching pad.
I wish you'd have made her do just 1 second of work, write her down for an internship. Get her on the list of employees or something. That would be helpful. But look at that. So has she been on Rogan yet, or is she just announcing she's going to do it?
She is taping with Rogan today, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. There you go.
The Little Potato Log podcast.
From MPW Digital to the most downloaded podcast in the world. 13 months.
I'm sure Rogan will say, take me through your last year. And she'll say, well, it all started. I did this interview on a Zoom.
This bald guy called me and said,
Yeah.
would you do a podcast? And here we go. So, sir.
I told you this. I'm surprised that it's not a bigger story nationally. And now that it's on Rogan, it probably will become one because he moves the needle, man. Whether people love him or hate him, Rogan moves needles. But the biological males in female sports, I'm surprised it's not a much, much, much bigger story than it is. Especially if you have daughters, that should be something that you're at least interested in. And I think people are scared to talk about it because they work for corporations and things like that. But Rogan's not scared to talk about it, and so that'll be a fascinating conversation.
And they typically go 3 hours-ish. So I'm curious where all that goes kind of down line because he'll let her tangent in whatever direction that they take the conversation. So I'll be curious to see where that
Well,
heads.
it's a topic that he got into it because there was a MMA fight that involved a biological male, and the females in the fight did not know going into the fight, and they were badly hurt.
Gotcha. So, recording today, that'll be in the next week or so when it comes out. It's typically kind of how that works. It's 7-10 days when they put them out. They work pretty far ahead as far as that goes. But nonetheless, we will have Jeffrey tomorrow. Again, Ole Miss falling 69-66. Baseball tonight, 6:30. That is a change from yesterday. Memphis in town tonight, facing the Rebels for a midweek before Morehead State this weekend. So hope all of you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.